Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 310 for August 22nd, 2023. I am your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the CFL's Edmonton Elks finally get a win. A Chiefs SuperFan is indicted on 19 counts of bank robbery and money laundering. And we run down a list of the top 10 most expensive high school football stadiums in the state of Texas. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
That's right, episode 310 to Yuma, baby. We finally did it. I can start making movie puns.
Ah, cool.
With our film titles. Wait till episode 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll be a while.
And then 2010, the year we make contact. And what other numbers?
There was a 2064.
1777, the one where it's going to be a full musical about the
3001 Odyssey
3001
or something like that.
I'm trying to think of other movie titles that are just numbers.
1776 was a good one.
Yeah. Well, it'll be completely a musical. So if we reach that point, I'm calling it now. Episode 1777. Randy and I will do a full-blown musical of this podcast.
Yeah.
You got like 10 years to get there, so don't worry about it. You can work on your singing chops.
Okay. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms. Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, so you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and the YouTube video for you to find the topics that you really want to listen to even faster. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@theworldoffootball. As well as other selected videos. And boy, we've had a couple this week already. There's a video of me making a bet on the Lions at a casino for the first time in 27 years. That was interesting. The Just Lion Around, a Detroit Lions podcast with Adam and his brother-in-law, Kyle Sutherland, was released on Sunday. And upcoming videos, the same one from last week, Have Grave, Will Travel number 4. You still haven't got that done.
Yeah. I've been busy.
You have been busy.
Man, oh man.
It's been a busy time, but
packing for a move. Got other podcasts apparently I'm worrying about. And this show.
You have too many podcasts.
I have too many. Says the man who has a podcast. Well, yeah, you just do the one.
I just do the one. And pretty soon we're going to be doing a video every week of our NFL picks.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be
oh, my gosh.
Explosion because we might be adding a third member. We're still working the details out there. There might be a third member this upcoming season.
Yeah, third permanent member. We had lots of guest pickers last season.
Through the comments, but this will be a third person on the video. Yeah, so we're trying to work the details out for that.
Okay, so yeah, check all those out on YouTube. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right, everybody. Look, the only league right now that's playing meaningful football, and when I say meaningful, I mean regular season games that count, that have value, and not the preseason games don't have value, but that's a different value. Preseason games don't matter in the NFL, so we're not going to talk about those a whole lot. But let's talk about the greatness that is the CFL. Week 11 Thursday saw the Edmonton Elks. That's right, those Edmonton Elks, those stinky Elks, those dookie playing Elks who've let several leads slip through their fingers because of the dookie, over the Hamilton Tiger Cats 24-10. Congratulations, Edmonton. I don't know if you can even hear the clapping because our microphones cut out weird audio, but we were clapping. It was a rain delay during the game. That happened for about an hour, and that was around halftime, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was watching the game, and gosh, the rain delay just kept going on and on. And last thing I heard was they said the game was going to start up again at 10:30. I think it started at 7. So, oh my gosh, I couldn't stay awake that long. And I think CBS Sportsnet, because the game was supposed to get over with at 10. went away from it after that. They didn't stick for the whole game. So, yeah, it wasn't even on TV. At least here it wasn't. So,
okay. Well, for those of you who were able to catch the game, you saw Edmonton quarterback Trey Ford complete 13 passes for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran the ball 5 times for 60 yards, while wide receiver Steven Dunbar caught 4 passes for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns for them Elks. Then on the Hamilton side of the ball, quarterback Taylor Powell completed 20 passes for 218 yards, but no touchdowns. Running back James Butler ran the ball 14 times for 114 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Tim White caught 9 passes for 101 yards. Edmonton still needs to break their home losing streak despite just ending the overall losing streak. So they got one monkey off their back.
Right.
Now they got this other monkey now, Lumen, and I think they could do it.
Yeah.
They proved they get this win. I think we'll see that streak end by the end of this season. Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah, this game, Edmonton scored the first touchdown, so it was 7-0. And then Hamilton came back, scored a touchdown, but they missed the extra point. So from there, Edmonton took a 14-6 lead, and they never trailed in this game because of that missed extra point. So it was good to see Edmonton from start to finish, win a game.
Yeah, and not let it slip through their fingers.
Yes, absolutely. So congratulations, man. We've been rooting for them so much lately. And I think they have a home game this week, so I'll be rooting for them again. I think that's the Thursday night game this week, and I do believe we're going to get that on TV. So, yeah, love to see them win a home game and get that monkey off their back, like you said.
And then speaking of teams letting a victory slip through their fingers, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers just narrowly escaped the Calgary Stampeders 19-18. This game was tied 6-6 going into the half. All field goals for both teams at that point. Then at the end of the third quarter, Winnipeg defensive back, Demario Houston intercepted a pass and returned it 45 yards for a touchdown. The only touchdown of the game, by the way. Calgary kicker Rene Paredes missed a 50-yard field goal with under 2 minutes in play that would have given the Stampeders the lead. And then some stats from the game. Winnipeg quarterback Drew Brown filling in for their normal starting quarterback, whose name I am blanking on.
Zach Collaros?
Zach Collaros, thank you so much. Filling in for Zach Collaros, who I think has been injured for the last couple of weeks. 17 passes, 171 yards. Kicker Sergio Castillo made 4 field goals for the Blue Bombers. But then for Calgary, quarterback Jake Mayer completed 11 passes for 190 yards, while kicker Rene Paredes made 6 field goals, but missed 2 other ones, 2 big ones.
Yeah, including the one that might have won the game for him. But I mean, 6 field goals in a game. That's pretty good. It was all field goals. I mean, except for that one interception return.
Yep. All right. And then on Saturday, the Montreal Alouettes defeated the Ottawa Red Blacks in another close game. How about that?
Yeah.
25-24. Ottawa was up 17-3 at halftime. So another team letting a game slip through their fingers.
Yeah, they did.
They also led 24-10 by the end of the third quarter. But hey, guess what? Even in Canadian football, you play 4 quarters, ladies and gentlemen. And in that fourth quarter, Montreal quarterback Caleb Evans ran 2 touchdowns.
No, he
ran 2 yards for a touchdown with 14 seconds left in the game for the 1-point win. Evans completed 24 passes for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran the ball 7 times for 45 yards and the game-winning touchdown. Wide receiver Austin Mack caught 9 passes for 16 yards, and wide receiver Tyler Snead caught 7 passes for 98 yards and a touchdown. Do you mean, was that 160 yards?
It might have been. Yeah, it might have been 160.
I was gonna say, I was like, 9 passes for 16 yards.
That must have been.
Would be an amazing stat too. That's barely a yard and a half.
Yeah. No, he was the top receiver. That's why I put him up there first.
Okay. And then let's see. Then for Ottawa, quarterback Dustin Crum completed 14 passes for 130 yards and an interception. He also ran the ball 4 times for 42 yards and a touchdown.
That might have been 116 yards.
Oh, maybe 160.
Yeah,
okay.
Not 160.
Okay,
but still, he was over 100 yards receiving, and that was
either way, great stat line.
Yeah.
Even if Randy goofed it up. Even the goofed up version looked hilarious. So.
Yeah. But this game was pretty wild. I think I saw most of this game, and Ottawa had this game going away, but that fourth quarter came along, and they couldn't stop Montreal in the fourth quarter.
All right, and then finally on Sunday, This game I was able to see, and what a game this ended up being, as the Saskatchewan Roughriders just came out and punched the British Columbia Lions in the teeth, getting the 34-29 victory. From the get-go, it was just very evident that Saskatchewan was not going to lay down to these BC Lions, who've been one of the hot teams this year. So to see the Rough Riders just come out at home, that atmosphere, and play as great as they did is phenomenal. Saskatchewan quarterback Jake Dolagala. Yep, I even paid attention during the broadcast to try to say his name right, and I still messed it up. Dolagala, right?
Yep.
Dolagala, who was making his second CFL start, completed 18 passes for 239 yards and 3 touchdowns. While this is a guy, I can't believe how great this guy was. Samuel Amilis, he caught 5 passes for 106 yards and a touchdown. And 2 of these catches, though, for this guy, absolutely incredible. There was one where he just like leaped up to the sky to catch a pass. And then there was another one where it's like a fingertip just like lunging forward to snag it. Incredible. The dude just had 2 of the best highlights of the year, in my opinion, for the CFL. Great catches.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those a touchdown and he like caught it underneath the defender and he just like rolled into the end zone without being touched.
Yeah, so this dude was heck of a game he had. And then for British Columbia, quarterback Vernon Adams completed 26 passes for 455 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And lost the game.
A losing effort. How many times have we talked about that in the CFL?
Yeah.
I mean, so many this season.
One of the best quarterback with the best stats doesn't always win.
It was the 3rd 400-plus passing game of his career. So congratulations for that. Unfortunately, you didn't get the W, as we mentioned. Wide receiver Alexander Collins caught 7 passes for 161 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Lucky Whitehead caught 5 passes for 122 yards and a touchdown. And wide receiver Keon Hatcher caught 6 passes for 94 yards and a touchdown. All those incredible stat lines for the BC Lions, and they still lost.
Yeah, but it sure made for a great game. This was my best highlights of the week.
This is great, and I caught most of the first half. And going into halftime, penalty ridden. I mean, unbelievable. We were watching the game together. You forget what you were doing. You went off to take care of something, and I was watching the end of that half. It was just penalty after penalty. I swear, it was the most boring end of a game. I mean, eventually British Columbia got down to kick the field goal, but there was so many plays they had to redo, and field position changing because of penalties. It was just so ugly to watch there at the end of the first half. But and then on bye this week, the defending Grey Cup champions Toronto Argonauts get their last bye of the regular season, which seems a little early.
Yeah, they were making a big deal about that on the broadcast. That it's just barely the start of the second half of the regular season up in Canada, and they're all out of their bye weeks. I think every team gets 3
like 2 bye weeks.
3, I think it's 3.
2 bye weeks
could be. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, they've used them all up for this year. Or at least that's the way the schedule was made. So now, through the end of the regular season, they don't get a break anymore. I don't know if that's going to help them or hurt them.
Well, when you're the defending champions, maybe you just need momentum, and maybe that'll help.
Yeah, might work in their favor. I don't know.
Yeah. And speaking of the champs, we're going to look at the CFL standings in the East. Those Argonauts, though on bye, still sit at the top of that East Division or conference, whatever they want to call it up in Canada, with a 7-1 record. The Montreal Alouettes sit in second place there with a 6-3 record, followed by the 3-6 Hamilton Tiger Cats and the 3-7 Ottawa Red Blacks. In the West, it is the 8-2 Blue Bombers of Winnipeg in the first spot. The 7-3 British Columbia Lions holding the second spot despite falling to the number 3 seed. That's the 5-5 Saskatchewan Roughriders. Then your 4th seed, the Calgary Stampeders at 3-7. And then in last place, but finally getting a win, the Edmonton Elks with a 1-9 record. And that will do it for this week's World of Football Scoreboard. And now we will throw it over to Randy with some news.
Yeah, we've got several NFL stories. To begin it off with, Patriots and Packers preseason game ended early in the fourth quarter after New England cornerback Isaiah Bolden was carted off the field on a stretcher. Good news is he was released from the hospital the next day.
Yeah.
You don't want to see this again.
You don't. It was a scary scene, very eerily, almost reminiscent of the DeMar Hamlin situation. Luckily that night, I think the Patriots tweeted out that he was moving his extremities. Everything seemed fine, and out, he's released. So good. And when you have something like this in the preseason, and we've seen a lot of these ties.
Right.
I mean, if you need to call a preseason game early, just do it. I mean, even in the regular season, look, if something like this happens, I think we're going to all have to get accustomed to they're going to call the game.
Right.
I think that's how it probably is going to be, should be. And, we just got to hope these guys are okay, because I don't want to keep seeing these guys get hurt like this.
Right. Yeah.
So,
no, I'm perfectly fine with them, canceling the rest of the game. It wasn't, I think there was like 10 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. At that point, if you're these two teams, if you're Bill Belichick and if you're Matt LaFleur, two pretty good coaches who know what they're looking for with their roster, you probably already got an inkling of your roster anyway. You probably didn't need that extra 10 minutes to make any further evaluations. So I don't think they'll lose sleep over not having that extra 10 minutes of game film.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the idea of these preseason games is not necessarily to win the game, unless you're the Baltimore Ravens. And they saw their 24-game preseason winning streak end, thanks to the Washington Commanders, by the score of 29-28, and this dates back to 2015. I didn't know this until I was reading this today. The previous NFL record was 19 straight wins in the preseason, set by the Green Bay Packers back in the 1950s.
You know what the preseason winning streak is equivalent to?
Nothing.
Kissing your sister. It's it's tying. It's the dumbest streak you could have. I get it. It's a thing they're going to keep track of, but it's meaningless. How many Super Bowls? How many division titles? How many accolades have the Ravens garnered in that 21-game winning streak of the preseason, or 24-game preseason winning streak? Absolutely bupkis. Sure, it translates to nothing to the regular season, as we've seen with the 4-0 preseason champion Detroit Lions of 2008.
Yep.
To 0-16 regular season chumps. It does not matter. These preseason games is more about evaluation and individual player performance as opposed to a final score.
Well, this is just the NFL trying to make you think that these games mean something.
Oh my God, but we know
so that
they
you'll
don't.
Still pay the money. You'll still come buy the popcorn, the beer, the hot dogs, whatever they're selling at the souvenirs at the stadium. Just keep coming, spending that money, because these are real games, and
no, they're not.
Well, they're charging you the same amount anyway. So
they're real games that have no season consequence other than injuries. That's about the only thing that come from these things that matter is the injuries. So it is what it is. But like I mentioned, we also had several ties, because I didn't realize they didn't go into overtime anymore in the preseason.
I think they might have had one or two last year, but I've seen I think there were two of them this past weekend.
Yeah.
Ties. And I'm fine with that. Don't make them play an extra quarter or
you don't
whatever.
Need that.
No, it's a tie. Big deal.
Yeah.
Goes in the standings that way.
Yeah, the games already don't mean anything. Why play more of it?
Now, where's that next stat? Who has the most ties in preseason?
Oh my God! Don't open that Pandora's box.
Here's a story you wanted me to talk about.
Yeah.
The Indianapolis Colts, have granted running back Jonathan Taylor permission to seek a trade. I guess they didn't want to trade him at first.
No, yeah, we talked about this story several weeks ago. He wanted or put in the trade request, and then Jim Irsay came out and said, "There's no way in heck that we're gonna release, Jonathan Taylor." But it's been 3 or 4 weeks now, and it looks like they finally accepted it. And apparently, per a source I'm seeing on Twitter, the Colts are seeking a first-round pick or a package of picks that equates to as much in a potential trade for Jonathan Taylor. Now, the big question here is, what team or teams will be inquiring this, because everybody seems like their rosters are pretty set, and there's still a bunch of other big free agents out there. And what team is looking at this point of the season trading draft capital, for, as good as Jonathan Taylor was a couple years ago, and I think he's still a hot commodity and could still be a great player, but he was banged up last year a little bit. Who's really going to be willing to do that? Like a team like the Lions probably don't need to make a move on a running back like that. But what team is so desperate to put a playmaker like that on their roster at this point of the season when, they don't know what they got, and maybe some injuries haven't really set in. So I don't know how fast the deal could get done here, but guess we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. And here's a bit of breaking news that happened just before we started recording. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers announced that Baker Mayfield will be their starter for Week 1, and that wasn't altogether a big surprise.
No, we kind of figured maybe he'd have a shot, but I mean, you also couldn't discount some of the backups maybe playing better than expected. And
yeah, I was listening to some sports talk while I was driving around the other day, and they were all saying it's basically a done deal that he's going to be named the starter, and he was as of today. So
I mean, I'm kind of pulling for Baker. I feel like he's got, I mean,
he's kind of gotten a raw deal.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, say what you will about some of his attitude and some of the stuff he's done, but I think, he's in some of the situations he's been dealt, like being, first signing with Carolina and kind of getting a raw deal there, and then getting traded to the Rams, and then getting a little bit of playing time to fill in for Matt Stafford, and looking decent at times. I think, the dude deserves a shot, and to start the season as a starting quarterback, is nothing to sneeze at. So, I hope he does well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all you can ask for is a chance, and Tampa Bay is giving him that chance, and now it's up to him to do something with it. Okay, now this is kind of a long story here, and hope you could stay with us for this. Xavier Babudar?
Babudar.
I knew I was going to mess
up. Babudar, yeah.
Babudar, yep. Xavier Babudar, Kansas City Chiefs, a Kansas City Chiefs superfan, also known as CHEIFSAHOLIC, was indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly robbing a string of banks in the Midwest and laundering the stolen cash through casinos. The 28-year-old's 19-count indictments replaces and adds more charges than the federal criminal complaint that was filed against him in May. This guy's got problems. He was charged with 11 counts of money laundering, 4 counts of transporting stolen property across state lines, 3 counts of armed bank robbery, and 1 count of bank theft. Babudar gained fame by attending most Chiefs games dressed in a gray, masked wolf suit. Authorities alleged he was able to finance his travel and attendance for these games through crime. In addition to the robberies, he allegedly gambled on the results of Chiefs games without reporting his winnings in the state of Missouri or Kansas. He was initially arrested in December of 2022 in Bixby, Oklahoma, but later cut off his ankle monitor and fled the state while out on bond after winning $100,000 on bets from an Illinois sports book. Some of his earnings came from betting on Patrick Mahomes to win the NFL MVP, which obviously he did, and the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, which they did. He was also on the run for 3 months before being captured by the FBI near Sacramento, California in July.
This story was absolutely crazy. If you follow this at all when this is happening, absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
And then the other day, or I think just yesterday, this thing came out, a video I'm about to play. You're going to hear the audio real quick. Is the attorney or the lawyer for Mr. CHEIFSAHOLIC. And
it doesn't even mention him by name.
No. You'll hear he doesn't even mention his client's full actual name. But at the same time, that would also cause, I'd be a little concerned if this dude was my attorney.
This is not CHEIFSAHOLIC's last drive. And he believes, and we believe, that when the final whistle blows and all of the facts are known, that he is going to be redeemed in the eyes of his community, in the eyes of his fans, and in the eyes of the Chiefs Kingdom.
What a dork. Who thought it was a great idea, this legal counsel, to come out and just, I'm going to throw every football pun I can into this little spiel for the news, and I'm going to look so great. Well, Poindexter, I think you just set him back.
You got your work cut out for you there, Mr. Man. Attorney, whatever your name is.
CHEIFSAHOLIC, I think he's better off having, one of his gambling buddies be his attorney, and this guy, oof.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot of these details until I was looking this up.
It's a crazy story.
But yeah, the fact that he bet on Mahomes to win MVP and the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, of course, wins both of those. I don't know how much he bet, but
when you're CHEIFSAHOLIC, of course you got to bet on your dude to win it all. So, I mean, what do you expect?
What a crazy story.
You want to know what's even crazier? And we'll just tack this on at the end. Antonio Brown being, again, having a warrant out for his arrest for child support.
No.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Antonio Brown to be arrested over unpaid child support. It's happening again.
Oh my gosh. It's been a while since we've heard the name.
I know. What's he been up to? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we know what he's up to.
And last time we talked about this, we said, what's going to happen next in this guy's life? And here it is.
Yep.
Warrant out for his arrest.
Yep.
Non-payment of child support. Wow. Okay, our last NFL story concerns HBO's Hard Knocks. Episode 2 came out the other day with the New York Jets.
Yeah.
We watched it.
Yeah, we did.
And to me, it was the same old, same old. It's an Aaron Rodgers love fest.
It is, but...
It's making me sick.
But that opening, though. The opening of this episode with the magician, or the mentalist.
The mentalist, yeah.
Was has to be a top 10 funniest Hard Knock. I was literally slapping my knee.
It was good.
How funny some of it's not that, the magic was super like, oh, how do you pull this off? I mean, there was a couple that was like, yeah, how did he do that?
Uh-huh.
And at the same time, it was also hearing some of the players like freaking out and like, oh, heck no.
I'm ready to run out the door. They thought this guy was the devil. I forget
which player that was, but he was like, yeah, he was getting ready to run. He's like, this is some witchcraft. This is some voodoo.
Okay, yeah, if you're going to watch this episode, just watch the first few minutes.
That's what I would recommend to people. Just watch that bit. I mean, I think that clip was circulating around, but it was so good. Say what you will about Aaron Rodgers, even him participating in that one bit was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, that was a lot of fun. And, in terms of just, it's a typical Hard Knocks episode. I didn't really glean much from it. It's a head coach getting to drop the F-bombs on camera. It's, the typical, look how great our team is, blah, blah, blah. We're so great. And then they get into this episode, they do a joint practice with the Panthers. And, one dude, who was it? Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle?
I don't know who it was.
I think that's who it is. The guy who just signed a big contract with the Jets. I think it's Quinnen Williams. I could be wrong. So I'm not totally familiar with the Jets roster. But that guy they signed, the defensive lineman, I want to say Quinnen Williams again. Beast. What a stud defensive lineman this dude is. And he was bragging about having 10 sacks during practice because, they can't really hit the quarterback, but he was close enough to where they were deeming him sacks, and he even got an 11th one. And I thought it was funny that Aaron Rodgers turning to the camera and going, number 11. So, but then, there are times where they saw their offensive line struggling. Aaron Rodgers couldn't do much in this joint practice.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff that, reality sinks in when you start playing another team. And this is what Hard Knocks is both great and bad about. It's showing the good, letting you buy into the hype that this could be the Jets team we think they're going to be this year. Then they get into, I know it's early, it's practice and it's preseason, and they're still got time to work it out. Then they just look like a terrible team that still got a long way to go. Like Andy, well, it's not Andy. Denny Green said, you want to crown them, crown them. Well,
they are who we thought they were.
They are who they thought they were. And right now, they are not who we think they are.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point, they could be. But right now, you know what? I'm thinking the Jets are a bit overrated.
Yeah, well,
we've thought that for a while anyway. But
they were supposed to have 2 joint practices, and they only had 1 because the second one got rained out.
Yeah.
And they waited for the rain to stop, and then they had a practice by themselves. The Jets did. But after that episode came out, I've heard from different reports that Aaron Rodgers is going to play in the last preseason game. And my figuring is, they want to get him on film. So let's throw him into the last preseason game where, I don't know who they're playing, where they normally play all their third-string guys for the whole game. So Rodgers is going to come out looking like a genius, passing for touchdowns left and right and all that.
I think the way, so for the Jets, they've got 4 preseason games this year because they did the Hall of Fame game.
That's right.
So they'll have 4 preseason games all together. I'm not sure who they're playing this week, but I think for them, a lot of their starters haven't played anyway. So you've got 3 games that, most of your starters don't play. And then I think even for the Lions, I think the new formula for these 3 preseason games is you don't play your starters for the first 2 games. Your starters get in for a series or 2 in that third and final game. But so for the Jets, you had the extra game. So it makes sense to save Aaron Rodgers for the 4th and final preseason game anyway. But we'll see. Yeah. I hope he looks terrible.
And I'm sure they'll edit that to make him look like he was the greatest thing ever.
They'll put him in slow-mo. They'll show that ball, the great shot of zooming in on the ball, then zooming out as it's spiraling through the air. And then his final stat line will be 2 of 10 for 18 yards. But hey, those highlights look gorgeous.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, they already did that in the episode. Shoot, they showed him throwing this gorgeous pass, and then where did it go? Onto the turf. That was one of my favorite moments.
All right, that's it for our NFL news. We do have a CFL story. Wide receiver DARREN FLUTIE was inducted into the Tiger Cats Ring of Honor at the Edmonton game last week. I thought it was during halftime, but it might have been a pregame thing. I'm not sure when, but the night of their game against Edmonton, yeah, they inducted him into the Ring of Honor. He is the 26th member of the Ring of Honor there in Hamilton. He played in the CFL for 12 seasons. He was with Hamilton from 98 to 2002, and he also played for the Edmonton Eskimos and the British Columbia Lions. He was inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 2007. He had a great career up in Canada. Yeah. Everybody knows his brother Doug Flutie and what great things he did. But here's a little trivia question for you.
The Flutie Brothers Band. I already know where you're going with this.
No.
Is it the Flutie Brothers Band?
No, but DARREN FLUTIE was inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame the year before Doug Flutie got into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. So he can always hold that over his brother. But yeah, he had a great career up in Canada. Not didn't get the attention that Doug did, but still had a great career up there.
Are we not even going to mention the Flutie Brothers Band?
Well, you want me to go get the CD over there?
You should. Why aren't we
play a couple of songs?
There you go. You can play DJ right now. Like WKRP over there. Randy Snow with the tune.
Let me put some band-aids on my fingers and my forehead to be Les Nessman. And
wow, I'm shocked that you would pick yourself to be the Les Nessman of this. I was going to give you the main disc jockey.
Johnny Fever?
Johnny Fever. I was going to let you be Johnny Fever. Shoot.
Randy Brage?
No, but the fact that you went straight for Les Nessman says everything we need to know about Randy Snow.
Well, I'm glad you at least know what we're talking about. We have been educating you on the great TV series.
Hey, I'm
WKRP in Cincinnati.
Growing up, you guys had me indoctrinated into a lot of that stuff. But just rewatching WKRP, it is a classic sitcom.
It's so good.
If you've never seen it, check it out. But so we're going to throw back over to Randy with today's swine headlines. If you get that reference, then you've been watching WKRP. The swine and agriculture.
The Silver Sow Award. The hog futures.
You got a long way to go to win the Silver Sow there, Randy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. College news. A new Netflix documentary drops today called UNTOLD: Swamp Kings, a 4-part series on the Urban Meyer years at the University of Florida. That was during the time when Tim Tebow was there.
Yeah, a lot of characters.
I've seen the preview for that. Man, that looks like it's going to be a rough ride.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. Are you going to try to watch it, or?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I might try to give it a watch. It's only 4 episodes, so
it just sounds like the players. He's in one line. Somebody said, the stars on the team got treated like stars, and the rest of the team got treated like crap. And so yeah, it was just incredible. And I'm surprised that Tim Tebow, being the man of God that he is, put up with all that, and didn't say anything or whatever. But yeah, you'd have to watch the series because they interview him quite a bit about what was going on. So I'm sure he'll explain what his thoughts were and all that.
I'm curious to watch that. Maybe next week we could talk about it. And if anybody else out there watches it, leave your comments in the
let us know.
video.
I don't know if I'll watch it or not, but I'd love to hear people's opinions.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out, at least an episode, and see if it's worth the time.
Okay. The University of Michigan has self-imposed a 3-game suspension on head coach Jim Harbaugh. He could still face more punishments from the NCAA after the 2023 season. He is accused of making false statements amid an investigation into into alleged recruiting violations that occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic dead period. Man, that's 3 years ago now.
Look, this is the big one of my problems. I'll let you finish in a second. Big problems with the NCAA is how slow they are to investigate stuff, how slow they are to react to stuff. That's why this whole organization just needs to be overhauled and turned into a semi-professional football league, just containing the major football teams, and let all the other sports remain as college, interconference, whatever. That's okay. Moving on. Finish your thing.
Harbaugh and the NCAA had previously come to a tentative agreement for the coach to serve a 4-game suspension, but those talks broke down last week. 3 games that he's going to miss are all home games. against non-conference teams, East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green. So, yeah, I guess I figured those are all cakewalks. They're going to beat up on all those, so they don't need him for that. He'll be back on the sidelines for the September 23rd home game against Rutgers.
Oh, Big Ten
just
game.
when the Big Ten season starts, he's back in time for that. So.
And that's the other thing with the way these punishments are, the way the scheduling works. Like these coaches, big time coaches of the top programs in the country can create all the havoc they want off the field and get a 4-game suspension, and all they're going to miss are some crappy out of conference games against a bunch of fluff opponents that now I wish one or two of them or all of them end up beating Michigan to an extent. Even though I like Michigan, I'll root for Michigan, but it's this kind of crap and the lack of taking onus and taking responsibility for stuff, and just we'll just miss some cakewalk games. No, miss some important games.
Yeah.
Like, that's how they should punish him.
Yeah.
This isn't a punishment. This is, hey, we already have a cakewalk opponent. Why don't you take a few weeks vacation there, coach?
Yeah.
Unpaid, but you and the wife, why don't you go off to Barbados for 3 weeks? Like, get out of here. Punish him. If you truly feel like this is a violation that was worth the amount of punishment, which I don't think it is, by the way. I think the punishment, regardless, for what he did is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to do it, be consistent. Make them miss important games. Punish them. This is not a punishment.
Yeah, you're out for the last 3 games of the season, which is going to include
there you go.
Ohio State, probably Michigan State, and
Penn State or something
Penn
like
State.
that.
There you go.
Your 3 big games at the end of the year,
Yeah.
the crucial games before you get into the playoff. Hurt them if you're going to do this. I'm telling you. But at the same time, it is like, well, it was technically a violation. It's not really that big a deal, so we're only going to make you miss some cakewalk games.
Right.
Like, it's dumb. Why even?
Like I said, it's the school that is punishing him
right now, but
not the NCAA. They've decided they're not going to make a ruling on what his punishment's going to be till after the season.
But even then, as the school, like, this isn't really a punishment. It's like it's you guys going, well, we're just gonna have you miss these cakewalk games, and we're gonna try to make it look like to the NCAA that we're being proactive and we're gonna self-discipline. So maybe down the line it'll be less harsh on us from the NCAA. Get out of here with this bull crap. I hate. This is the aspect of college football that I absolutely hate.
Mm-hmm.
About most professional sports leagues too. It's this lack of really punishing people. Like, if you're gonna do it, do it. If they committed a heinous violation, then nip it in the butt.
Like the hazing thing
The hazing thing. They nipped that in the butt.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they fired a guy, but no, Jim Harbaugh. I don't know what exactly the violation is. Did he buy a kid a hamburger during COVID? I don't know. Was he not wearing?
I think he had some meetings with some players during a dead period that he wasn't supposed to be talking to anybody.
Okay, wow, you had a meeting. You telling me other schools haven't done that? He's just the one that got caught. I mean, and that's not even to say that to defend Jim Harbaugh. I'm just saying. Some of these rules are just absolutely silly and ridiculous. And again, this is essentially semi-pro football. Just call it what it is.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of it.
Well, speaking of semi-pro football, we're going to move on to some high school news. There was a video that came out the other day, and I posted it on our timeline, Facebook and Twitter, or X, or whatever, about a new $35 million high school football stadium in Melissa, Texas, which I guess is a pretty small town.
Every town's pretty big in Texas when you have this football stadium.
But they've just completed this $35 million stadium that seats 10,000, which is pretty standard for a high school stadium in
Texas,
as what you'll see. But it's gorgeous. I mean, it's just fantastic. But they're going to be hosting their first season this year. But because this thing only costs $35 million, it doesn't even crack the top 10 in high school football stadiums in Texas. It's number 12 on the list.
Yeah.
But I do have a list of the top 10. And basically what I want to do is just tell you what some of these other stadiums went for. If $35 million doesn't make the top 10, what consists of the top 10? And number 1 on the list.
Oh, you just start with number 1. You're not even going to build up to number 1, huh? I would do a 10-1.
Okay.
Start with 10 and go up to 1. Let's get increasingly more ridiculous.
All right.
Because
we scroll down a little bit.
We have a brand new high school football stadium that's been built at my alma mater.
Yeah.
Alma mater.
Yeah.
Hello, Fada.
Mater.
I went to Galesburg Augusta High School.
Right.
Not a big, whatever. Not a big school.
Yeah. Class C.
For years, we've been kind of hoping we get a new football stadium. And and it's looking gorgeous. It's not $35 million gorgeous.
Right.
Probably a couple million, but a couple of little bleachers. But the field looks great. It's definitely an improvement for this town.
Oh, yeah.
So, but some of these things, and I've seen some Texas high school stadiums. I mean, shoot, you got, I think, a book or something of all these gorgeous stadiums across the country.
Yep.
And like, this is absolutely ridiculous, the amount of money they put into these things.
But at number 10 is the Challenger Columbia Stadium in Clear Creek, Texas. Cost was $39 million to build. It opened in 2016, and that seats 10,000. At number 9, Freedom Field in Alvin, Texas, $41.4 million, 10,280 capacity, opened in 2018. Number 8, District Stadium in Tomball, Texas, $42.6 million, opened in 2021. That seats 10,000. They're all pretty much around 10,000. A couple of them are 12,000, but most are around 10,000. Number 7, Memorial Stadium in Beaumont, Texas, $47.3 million, which includes a natatorium. I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, great! You're gonna make me Google it.
What is a natatorium? But anyway, it opened in 2010, and it seats 10,600. I've heard that name before. I just can't remember what it is.
What a natatorium?
Natatorium.
Okay, so a natatorium is a noun, plural for natatoriums or natatoria. It is a swimming pool, especially an indoor one.
Okay.
A building housing one or more swimming pools.
Okay. All right.
So there you go. We just learned something. That is your word of the day, everybody.
Natatorium. Okay. Oh, the next one.
Wait till we get to our letter of the day, which is C, and I bet you can't guess what it stands for. It's cookie.
Let's see. At number 6, Children's Health Stadium in Prosper, Texas, $48 million. That also included a new natatorium.
So you wrote this in the script twice, and you didn't even bother to be like, what is that?
I basically cut and pasted it. Didn't look at it. The number 6 school.
The truth comes out.
Opened in 2019, and that seats 12,000 people. Number 5, Wood Forest Bank Stadium. Look at that. They even got a sponsor.
Got a sponsor
in Conroe.
I'm waiting for KFC Municipal High School Stadium.
That one cost $49 million. Opened in 2008, and that seats 10,000. Number 4, Eagle Stadium in Allen, Texas. I think I've seen pictures of this one. This is the last one that really got a lot of attention. Well, maybe not, because it opened in 2012, so maybe that's not what I'm thinking. But it cost $60 million, and it seats 18,000. Wow. Number 3, McKinney Stadium in McKinney, Texas, $70 million for that one. Opened in 2018. That seats 12,000. Number 2, Legacy Stadium in Katy, Texas, cost $70.3 million. Opened in 2017, and that seats 12,000. And your number 1 most expensive stadium in the state of Texas, the Cy-Fair FCU Stadium. I'm sure that's some sort of a federal credit union sponsorship there at Berry Center. I'm not sure what city that's in, but $80 million. And that includes the construction of a 9,500 seat arena, maybe like for basketball and other stuff like that, and a 456 seat theater. So probably for putting on school plays and stuff like that.
And probably for the team to get together and watch games.
Oh, yeah, that could be. But that opened in 2016 and seats
2006.
I'm sorry, 2006, and seats 11,000. So,
Jeez.
Yeah, the number 1 cost $80 million in the state of Texas for a high school football stadium. Now I can see, they also built this arena, and so there's a lot more to it. But still, my gosh, everything's bigger and more expensive in Texas. But yeah, the current one, only $35 million measly dollars in Melissa. Didn't even break the top 10.
They love their football down in Texas.
Absolutely.
But nobody loves more football than we do.
Well said. Well said. All right, we're going to move on to a couple of birthdays today. August 22nd, center and linebacker Mel Hine, born on this date in 1909, passed away in 1992 at the age of 82. He played his college football at Washington State, played 15 seasons in the NFL, all with the New York Giants from 1931 to 1945. He won 2 NFL titles with the Giants in 1934 and 1938. He went on to be the co-head coach of the Los Angeles Dons of the All-America Football Conference for 3 games in 1947. He was also an inaugural member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1963. We did a history lesson on Mel Hine one time.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Where he signed his contract to play for the Giants, and he sent it through the mail, and somebody else sent it in the mail to the commissioner of the or the president at the time of the NFL, and another team. Well, he also signed 2 contracts with 2 different teams, and the big controversy was, he signed 2 contracts. Which team does he go to? And the way the president, Joe Farr, decided was he looked at the postmarks to see which one came first to his desk, and that's how he wound up as a New York Giant. So a pretty interesting story there. And then the other birthday is that of Bill Parcells, the coach. He turns 82 years old today. He was head coach of 4 different NFL teams: the New York Giants from 83 to 90, the New England Patriots from 93 to 96, the New York Jets from 97 to 99, and the Dallas Cowboys from 2003 to 2006. He won 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl 21 and 25, with the Giants, and he's currently an analyst with ESPN. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2013.
One of the best coaches to ever do it.
Yeah.
And a heck of a coaching tree he's got, too. So, I mean, I never saw him win anything in my lifetime, anything big, but he was always that personality.
He was always there.
Coach,
he was always coaching some team somewhere.
I mean, they were usually decent. I don't think they were terrible. Maybe a couple of his Cowboy teams weren't great, but he was always a good soundbite worth having. And yeah, he's got 2 Super Bowls to his name, so I mean, hey, and a Hall of Famer.
Yep. All right, got 3 obituaries to talk about today. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first obituary is that of Maxie Baughan, a linebacker in the NFL for 12 seasons, has passed away at the age of 85. Baughan played college football at Georgia Tech and was selected in the 2nd round of the 1960 NFL draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He played for the Eagles from 1960 to 1965 and won an NFL title with the Eagles in his rookie season of 1960. He also played for the Los Angeles Rams from 1966 to 1970, and then he retired. In 1972 and 73, Baughan was an assistant coach and defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. He came out of retirement in 1974 and played 1 season with the Washington Redskins as a player coach. He went on to be an assistant coach with the Baltimore Colts and the Detroit Lions between 75 and 82. He was a head coach at Cornell University from 83 to 88 before returning to the NFL as an assistant coach with the Minnesota Vikings, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Baltimore Ravens between 1990 and 1998. Baughan was inducted into the Georgia Tech Hall of Fame in 1965 and the College Football Hall of Fame in 1988.
Our next obituary is that of Gary Barnes, a wide receiver in the NFL for 5 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. Barnes played college football at Clemson and was selected in the 3rd round of the 1962 NFL draft by the Green Bay Packers. He was also selected in the 9th round of the 1962 American Football League draft by the New York Titans. He signed with the Packers and played 1 season with the team in 1962, winning an NFL title with the Packers in his rookie season. He was traded to the Dallas Cowboys in 1963, where he played 1 season. Then the Cowboys traded him to the Chicago Bears in 1964, where he also played 1 season. He was the first player signed by the expansion Atlanta Falcons and finished his playing career with the team in 1966 and 1967. He scored the first touchdown ever in Falcons history in a game against the Los Angeles Rams. Barnes was inducted into the Clemson University Athletic Hall of Fame in 2002 and the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame in 2005.
And finally, Mike Giddings, a former coach in the NFL and the World Football League, has passed away at the age of 89. Giddings was an assistant coach at USC from 1961 to 65 and the head coach at Utah from 1966 to 1967. Giddings went on to be an assistant coach with the San Francisco 49ers from 1968 to 1973 and was the head coach of the Hawaiians in the World Football League in 1974 and 1975. He finished his coaching career in the NFL with the Denver Broncos in 1976, where he was an assistant coach and the director of pro scouting. That's it for our obituaries. Lastly today, our upcoming events calendar. This Saturday, August 26th, the FBS College Football Week 0 kicks off. The marquee game, Navy versus Notre Dame in Dublin, Ireland. And there are also 6 other games, but nobody's really going to be watching those probably.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be so many people watching those games.
Sure.
Football is back.
Yes, college football is back. Let's see. Thursday, September 7th, the NFL regular season begins. Man, that's not too far away.
No, it's not.
Featuring our beloved Detroit Lions against the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, that's going to be a heck of a game. I'm really looking forward to it. So nervous for it, but excited at the same time. This should be a great opening to the season. And that's everything I got for this week. Anything that you wanted to add? Anything you saw come over on your phone?
Nope. We were recording this show a little earlier than normal.
Yep.
So not a whole lot of breaking news.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of it soon. It's barely 12 o'clock noon.
Yeah, we're gonna get this done, go get some lunch. Yep. And it's a nice early day for us.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow us on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. The address there is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play The World of Football to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you have at home. You can also find the full audio version of our show on YouTube. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle youtube.com/@theworldoffootball in the URL. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment on any of those platforms at any point, and we'll try to get back to you. We like having that conversation. So let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And we do talk a lot about football.
Yeah, we do.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us sitting here in Kalamazoo.
That's right, Texas. Eat it and weep.
Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I think this is one of our best shows. Way to go. Other than some script flubs. Way to go.
I can always do better.
You could.
See you all next week.